Tonight, we step into a different world, a world far away from the buzzing of modern life, from screens, lights, and the noise of the day. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let your mind drift back. Back in time, to the year 1895, you awaken in a room that feels unfamiliar, yet strangely comforting. The air is cooler, carrying the faint scent of beeswax, polished wood, and burning coal from a fireplace that still glows faintly. You shift against crisp, embroidered sheets. Above you, a canopy stretches across the bed, its fabric rich and heavy, like velvet touched with age. The silence is deeper than what you know in the modern world. No cars, no hum of electricity, only the soft ticking of a clock, and the distant clop of horses' hooves on cobblestones outside. You rise slowly. As you do, you realize you are not in your own home. The mirror, across from the bed, shows you dressed in a nightgown of fine linen, lace at the cuffs, and when you step closer, the reflection looking back is not just yours. It is you, yes, but you are changed. You are younger, perhaps in your early 20s, and around your neck glimmers a delicate chain of gold, the kind that whispers of wealth and of status. You are a dollar princess. The term, whispered with both admiration and envy in the newspapers of the time, belonged to the daughters of America's richest families, heiresses of steel magnates, railroad tycoons, and oil barons. Families who had more wealth than most European kingdoms, but who still felt they lacked something important: old-world nobility. In America, fortunes were new, loud, and dazzling, but across the Atlantic, in Britain and Europe, fortunes were fading. Dukes, earls, and princes still had their titles, but many had empty bank accounts. Their estates were crumbling, their gardens overgrown, and their servants dismissed. And so, a quiet bargain formed across the sea. American daughters would marry European lords, dollars for dukedoms, cash for castles. The heiress's family would gain a title, and the noble family would gain financial rescue. It is in this moment of history that you awaken. It is 1895, and you are at the heart of a story woven between the new world and the old. The door opens softly. A maid enters, carrying a silver tray. On it rests a teapot, a china cup, and 2 small slices of toast. She curtsies, speaking in a hushed voice. "Good morning, my lady." The title is new. You are still adjusting to it. Her presence is both comforting and strange. Someone whose entire purpose is to serve you. She draws the curtains, and morning light spills in. Outside, the garden stretches wide, manicured and green, dotted with roses and marble statues. Beyond it, a carriage waits, horses stamping gently in the cold air. You sip your tea slowly. It tastes of bergamot, delicate and fragrant, and as you gaze out at the garden, the truth of your life begins to sink in. You are not just an American girl anymore. You are someone whose fortune is bound to a title. You are a link between 2 worlds. Your mind drifts back to America, the streets of New York, alive with electric lights, theaters, and the hum of progress. The grand mansions of Fifth Avenue, glittering with chandeliers and ballrooms built to rival European palaces. And your father, a man whose fortune came from steel, or railroads, or oil. He was powerful, respected, feared even, but he longed for something more. He longed for legitimacy in the eyes of Europe. And so, here you are. Across the Atlantic, the world is older. The cobblestones beneath the carriage wheels have been walked upon for centuries. The houses are colder, but heavier with history. Every painting on the wall tells a story. Every portrait a reminder of ancestors who fought in wars, signed treaties, ruled over vast lands. To be a dollar princess is to exist in this in-between space. Part American, part European, part new money, part old tradition. As you sit in this gilded room, you may wonder, why tell this story tonight? Because history is not just about wars or kings or empires. It is also about people, about the quiet lives lived in rooms like these, about the women who carried both the weight of expectation and the possibility of change. Your story, as a dollar princess, is one of luxury. But it is also one of pressure. Every glance is measured, every word weighed. You are here not just as yourself, but as a symbol of your family's fortune, and yet, behind it all, you are still human. You dream, you hope, you wonder what life might bring. You stand walking across the room, the floor creaks beneath your slippers. Somewhere in the distance, a bell rings, a signal for breakfast. Servants move quietly in the hallways. Their voices, soft and hushed, carry through the wooden doors. Outside, the day is beginning. Horses stamp against the frost. Carriages arrive. Somewhere, a gardener trims roses, his breath clouding in the cold morning air. Life is slower here, slower, quieter, and measured by centuries of habit. You do not yet know what this new life will hold. Will your marriage be one of duty alone? Will you grow to love your new husband? Or will you remain a stranger in a strange land, trapped between your family's ambition and your own desires? These are questions that only time will answer, but for now, the morning light grows stronger. The house awakens, and your story, as a dollar princess in 1895, has just begun. As you rest, let this vision settle in your mind. Imagine the weight of history in the walls around you, the echo of footsteps in long, candlelit corridors, the scent of roses in the morning air, and the knowledge that you are living in a time of transition, a bridge between two worlds. Tonight, as you drift further into rest, you are not simply dreaming. You are wandering the halls of history, and your footsteps leave gentle marks on its floor. Good night, for now, before we can understand who you are in 1895, we must go back across the Atlantic Ocean, to the United States of America. To the days of your childhood, to the glittering, restless, booming world of the Gilded Age. It is the late 19th century. America is expanding faster than ever before. Railroads cut across the continent, tying east to west, steel tracks stretching across plains and mountains. Cities rise higher and higher as steel and iron allow buildings to touch the clouds. Factories thunder with production. Immigrants arrive by the millions, chasing opportunity, their hands shaping a nation of progress. And amid this rush of growth, fortunes are born. Some men, names you know well, will be remembered forever. Andrew Carnegie, the Steel King; John D. Rockefeller, Master of Oil; Cornelius Vanderbilt, Lord of the Railroads; J. P. Morgan, banker of bankers. But beyond these giants, there were hundreds more. Men who built coal empires, who controlled shipping lines, who owned the mines and mills that fueled America's rise. And with their fortunes came their families. If you are a dollar princess in 1895, then you are likely the daughter of one of these men. You were born not in a farmhouse, but in a mansion, grand, vast, and glittering with chandeliers. Imagine your childhood: marble staircases polished to perfection, vast dining rooms with crystal glasses, parlors filled with velvet chairs and imported carpets. Every detail of your home whispered wealth. The silverware was real silver. The curtains were imported from Europe. The paintings on the walls were originals, shipped from Paris or Florence. Even the nursery toys were not simple dolls, but finely crafted treasures, meant to reflect the fortune of the family. Yet wealth was not only a comfort, it was a responsibility. From the day you were born, your life was not entirely your own. You were raised with the knowledge that your actions reflected your family's name. You would be educated not only in reading and writing, but in etiquette: how to sit, how to greet, how to walk into a room without seeming too bold nor too timid. Your tutors taught you French, music, embroidery. You learned how to pour tea without spilling, how to hold a fan at a ball, how to converse with charm without revealing too much. For while your father was building railroads or steel mills, your mother was building you, preparing you for society. The world of New York high society was dazzling and fierce. Grand balls, receptions, dinners, each event a test, a performance. Women wore gowns of silk and satin, dripping with pearls and diamonds. Men dressed in tailored suits, white gloves, and shining shoes. But beneath the glitter was rivalry. Who sat next to whom at dinner mattered, who was invited to which party mattered, even who danced first at a ball mattered. At the center of it all was Mrs. Astor, Queen of New York society, who famously decided who was in and who was out. It was said her ballroom could hold 400 guests, and so only 400 names truly counted. Your family, wealthy as it was, longed for recognition in this world, and to achieve it, your parents dressed you in the finest gowns, sent you to Paris for fittings, ensured you sparkled with jewels at every event. You learned to glide through ballrooms with grace. You learned to curtsy at the right depth, to laugh at the right moment, to seem both desirable and proper. For behind the sparkle of the Gilded Age was always the same truth. Marriage was not just personal. It was political, but there was something the families of the Gilded Age lacked. No matter how vast their fortunes, they were still new. The old money families of America looked down on them, quietly dismissing them as upstarts. And across the Atlantic, European aristocracy did not see them as equals. To many dukes and earls, Americans were brash, loud, and uncultured, people with money but no heritage. And so, for families like yours, there was always a lingering question. What was the use of vast fortune if it did not buy true respect? Europe shimmered in your parents' imaginations. The castles, the titles, the lineages stretching back centuries. There was something eternal about Europe, something that money alone could not purchase in America. And so, your father and mother dreamed, what if their daughter, that is you, could marry into a noble European family? What if the dollars of America could merge with the titles of Europe? Your fortune, your dowry, would save a crumbling estate, and in return you would become a duchess, a countess, perhaps even a princess. The newspapers would call you a dollar princess, but your parents would see you as something more, the crown jewel of the family's ambition. But what about you? How did it feel to grow up with this destiny hanging over you? Sometimes it was thrilling to know that your life would be grand, filled with gowns and castles, with titles and traditions. Sometimes it was heavy to feel that your heart did not belong to you, that you were not free to choose love, but must instead accept a bargain made in drawing rooms between fathers and lords. At night, in your soft bed, you may have wondered, would marriage bring you happiness? Would you ever be loved for who you were, and not for your dowry? But these were thoughts to be hidden away, for in the daylight you smiled, you laughed at balls, you played your role as all society daughters did. And so, by 1895, the stage was set. America, wealthy and bold, sent its daughters across the sea. Europe, proud but faltering, opened its gates, if only for money. The Atlantic Ocean became a bridge not only of trade but of marriage. A bridge you, and many young women like you, would walk across. When you awakened in that grand bedroom in England, when the maid whispered, "Good morning, my lady," you were not simply a young woman. You were the product of an age of gilded fortunes, of dazzling ambition, of dreams that stretched from Fifth Avenue to the halls of ancient castles. This was the world that made you, the Gilded Age, the golden cradle of the dollar princess. And now, as you rest, imagine the glittering ballrooms of New York, the clink of crystal glasses, the shimmer of gowns beneath chandeliers, and the quiet hope in your family's heart. Hope that across the ocean a future awaited you, a future where dollars could buy dukedoms, and where you would become more than a daughter of fortune. You would become a dollar princess, to understand why you, an American heiress, were so desired in Europe in 1895. We must step softly into the world of old world nobility, a world of castles, of titles, of centuries of tradition, majestic on the surface, but quietly crumbling within. For hundreds of years, Europe was ruled by noble families. Kings and queens sat on thrones, yes, but around them were dukes, counts, barons, and earls, men and women whose families traced their lineage back through generations. They lived in castles built of stone, guarded by walls and towers, surrounded by vast estates of farmland, villages, and forests. Their portraits hung in gilded frames, ancestors in armor or velvet robes, gazing down with pride. Their names carried weight in courts and parliaments. To be a duke or a countess was not simply to hold land. It was to belong to history itself. This was the old order of Europe, stable, proud, enduring. But by the late 19th century, cracks were beginning to show. The Industrial Revolution had changed everything. Factories rose, cities expanded, and power shifted from landowners to businessmen. Nobles who once grew rich from rents and harvests found their incomes shrinking. Imagine an English duke in 1895. His castle is grand, his title respected, but the roof leaks. The gardens are overgrown. The great hall, once filled with servants, now echoes with silence. The estate, vast as it is, brings in less and less each year. Farmers have moved to cities for work. Taxes rise. Repairs cost more than the rents can cover. The family name is still mighty, but the money is gone, and yet appearances must be kept. A duke must still host dinners. A countess must still wear gowns to court. The carriages must roll. The chandeliers must glitter, if only to maintain the illusion of grandeur. Behind closed doors, however, many noble families whispered the same truth. Without money, their titles could not survive. Still, even in decline, nobility carried pride. To be born a noble meant more than wealth. It meant heritage. It meant honor. It meant belonging to a story that stretched across centuries. A duchess could look at her family tree and see names who had fought in battles, who had signed treaties, who had stood beside kings. An earl could walk through his castle's halls and touch stones laid by ancestors in the Middle Ages. This was the power of Europe's aristocracy. Even in poverty, their names commanded respect. Even with fading fortunes, their titles drew fascination. And so, when wealthy American families looked across the ocean, what did they see? They saw the one thing they could not buy at home, a title. No matter how many millions your father earned in steel or railroads, he would never be Duke Carnegie or Prince Rockefeller. In America, democracy had stripped away titles, leaving only wealth. But in Europe, the ancient words Duke, Marquess, Count, Baron, Princess still shimmered with prestige. And so a bargain was born. Nobles offered their titles, their castles, their ancient family names. Americans offered their wealth. A marriage across the Atlantic was not just romance. It was rescue. It was survival for the old world and elevation for the new. Imagine, for a moment, the estate of a nobleman in 1895. You ride through the countryside, past hedgerows and villages, until you see it, a castle of stone towering above the fields. Its turrets rise against the sky, its windows glint in the sun. At first glance, it seems timeless. But step closer and you see the truth. The roof tiles are cracked, the gates rusted, the stables nearly empty. Inside, the great hall is vast, but cold. Paintings of ancestors stare from the walls, but dust gathers on the frames. Servants move slowly, fewer than before. Once there were dozens. Maids, footmen, gardeners, cooks. Now only a handful remain. The noble family still hosts dinners, still dresses in velvet and silk. But the gowns are worn, the jewels borrowed, the food simpler than appearances suggest. Behind the curtain of grandeur lies a quiet desperation. This is the world you enter as a dollar princess. Your dowry is not just welcomed, it is essential. With your father's fortune, the castle roof can be repaired, the gardens replanted, the stables filled once more with horses. The noble family regains its shine. The guests at dinners marvel again at the splendor, unaware that much of it rests on American dollars. And in return, your family back in New York or Chicago or Pittsburgh gains what money could never buy, a title, a place in Europe's history. You are the bridge. Your fortune keeps the estate alive. Your presence brings prestige to your family's name, but beneath this bargain there was strain. For you, as the dollar princess, life in Europe could feel both dazzling and lonely. You were admired for your fortune, but sometimes dismissed for being American. You were celebrated in the newspapers, but sometimes mocked behind closed doors. Some nobles called American brides vulgar, loud, or unschooled, even as they gratefully accepted their dowries. Your accent, your manners, your way of speaking, every detail was judged. Every gesture was compared to the centuries, old customs of Europe. It was not always easy to belong, and yet Europe was beautiful. The castles, the ballrooms, the grand estates, these were places of wonder, steeped in stories of centuries past. The gardens bloomed with roses, the halls echoed with music during balls, the chandeliers sparkled like constellations above you. Walking through these spaces, you could feel history alive around you. You were part of something older, greater, more enduring than yourself, and still, you could feel the shadow of expectation, the knowledge that you were here not just for love, not just for life, but for money and titles. Thus the stage was set, America, bold and wealthy with fortunes rising like skyscrapers, Europe, proud and ancient with fortunes slipping like sand through fingers. You stood between them. You were not simply a bride, you were a bargain, a bridge, a living symbol of two worlds colliding. In your life as a dollar princess, you carried both the glitter of the Gilded Age and the dust of fading castles. You were part of the story of decline and renewal, of old grandeur meeting new ambition. And now, as you rest, imagine yourself walking through the corridors of an old castle. Your footsteps echo softly on the stone floors. Portraits of lords and ladies watch from the walls, their painted eyes filled with silent pride. Outside, the wind whispers across the moors, carrying with it the weight of centuries. You are here, between worlds, an American by birth, a noblewoman by marriage, a soul caught gently in the tide of history. And as you close your eyes, let yourself drift into dreams of castles, titles, and a life balanced between fortune and tradition. Good night, for now. The year is 1895. Your trunks are packed, your gowns folded carefully in tissue paper, your jewels tucked into velvet-lined cases. The day has come when you must leave America behind and sail across the Atlantic Ocean. The newspapers have whispered about your journey. Society friends have spoken of it in drawing rooms and over tea. She is off to Europe, they say, to marry a duke, to live in a castle, to carry her fortune across the sea. But for you, the experience is far more personal. It is not just a journey of society, it is a journey of self. You are leaving behind your childhood home, your familiar streets, the glittering ballrooms of New York. Ahead lies something unknown, new lands, new customs, new responsibilities, and the bridge between these two worlds is the ship. Step with me now onto the deck of a great ocean liner of the 1890s. She is massive, a floating palace of steel and steam. Smoke rises from her funnels, drifting into the sky. Her decks stretch long and wide, polished wood gleaming in the sunlight. Names like Cunard and White Star Line dominate the seas. Their ships are MS Campania, Lucania, Majestic, Teutonic are marvels of modern engineering. To cross the Atlantic in days, instead of weeks, is a wonder only this age of steel and steam can provide. To step aboard one of these liners is to step into another world. As a dollar princess, you travel in first class. Your stateroom is spacious, with velvet drapes, carved wood paneling, and a brass bed. A steward assists you with your luggage, making sure every gown and glove is hung properly. There is a small writing desk, should you wish to pen letters home. A lamp glows softly, casting golden light against the polished wood. Outside your window, the harbor bustles with sound, dockworkers shouting, seagulls crying, ropes creaking as they are tied and untied. When you step into the first-class dining saloon, the sight takes your breath away. It is not simply a dining room. It is a ballroom at sea. Tables covered in white linen, crystal glasses sparkling, chandeliers swaying gently with the ship's movement. Gentlemen in tuxedos, ladies in gowns of silk and lace. At night, a string quartet plays softly, their music blending with the rhythm of the waves. The ship is a palace, and for a week it is your home. As the ship prepares to depart, you stand on deck. The city stretches behind you, its skyline marked by church steeples and the faint outlines of new skyscrapers. Crowds gather at the docks, waving handkerchiefs, calling out names, watching the ship of dreams move slowly into the harbor waters. The air smells of salt, coal smoke, and sea spray. The horn sounds long and deep, echoing across the bay. Slowly, the ship moves forward. The water foams white against the hull. The city slips farther and farther away until it becomes only a shadow on the horizon. For a moment, you feel both excitement and loss. You are leaving behind everything familiar. You are stepping into the unknown. Days on the ocean liner are gentle, unhurried. You rise in the morning to the sound of the sea, waves lapping softly against the ship's sides. Outside your window, endless blue stretches in every direction. Water meeting sky, horizon stretching unbroken. On deck, the wind is fresh and cool. The seabirds follow for miles, gliding above the waves. Passengers stroll along the promenade, women in hats with ribbons fluttering, men in wool coats against the chill. You may pause to read a novel in a deck chair, the pages fluttering gently in the breeze. Or you may join friends in the lounge, where tea is served in china cups, and conversation drifts lazily between laughter and thoughtful pauses. At night, the stars come out, more than you have ever seen before. Far from the lights of the city, the sky blooms with constellations. The ocean glitters beneath them, dark and endless, like a mirror reflecting the heavens. You lie in bed, rocked gently by the rhythm of the waves. The steady pulse of the engines hums beneath the ship, a lullaby of steel and motion. As the voyage stretches on, you find yourself thinking deeply. This ship is not only carrying you across the sea, it is carrying you across the threshold of your life. Behind you, America, the land of opportunity, of restless energy, of fortunes made in a single lifetime. Ahead, Europe, the land of tradition, of castles, of names that echo across centuries. And you are the bridge. You are the one who binds them together. You wonder, will you belong in this new world? Will the dukes and countesses accept you? Will you find happiness in a marriage arranged more for fortune than for love? The questions linger in your heart, but for now, the sea keeps its secrets. Halfway across, the ocean is calm. The waves roll gently. The sun glitters like diamonds on the surface. The ship glides smoothly, her bow slicing the water with grace. Passengers gather on deck for games, for conversation, for music. Some walk alone, gazing out at the horizon, lost in thought. You find yourself leaning against the rail, the wind cool against your face, your hair pulled gently by the breeze. The sea stretches in every direction, endless, infinite, For a moment you feel small, one person on a vast ocean, one life in the sweep of history, and yet you also feel connected. The ocean has carried countless travelers before you, explorers, merchants, dreamers. And now it carries you, a dollar princess, toward a destiny shaped by both fortune and tradition. Days pass, slowly the air grows cooler, the seabirds return, and then one morning land appears, a faint line on the horizon. Passengers gather at the rail, pointing, whispering, their faces glowing with excitement. The coast of Europe comes into view, green hills, gray cliffs, villages with red, tiled roofs. For you, it feels like stepping into a storybook. This is the land of kings and queens, of knights and castles, of ancient cathedrals and cobblestone streets. This is the world you have dreamed of, the world your family has prepared you for. As the ship glides into port, bells ring in the harbor, fishermen call out, children wave from the shore. The gangplank is lowered, and one by one, passengers step onto European soil. When your turn comes, you pause for a moment. You look back at the great ship, at the ocean beyond it, at the invisible line that separates the old life from the new. And then you step forward. The voyage is over. The Atlantic, vast and powerful, has carried you safely across. And now the true journey begins. Ahead lies London, with its gaslit streets and grand ballrooms. Ahead lies a life of titles, of castles, of duties and expectations. Ahead lies the role of a dollar princess. As you rest now, close your eyes and imagine the soft roll of the sea, the glitter of stars above the deck, the sound of waves against the hull. Let the rhythm of the ocean cradle you, as it once cradled the dreams of those who crossed before you, and know that your journey is only beginning. Good night, for now the journey is over. The ocean lies behind you, a wide expanse of memory. Ahead rises London. The year is 1895, and the city stands at the heart of the British Empire, an empire upon which the sun famously never sets. But for you, this arrival is not just about a city, it is about a destiny. The streets, the carriages, the drawing rooms, all are waiting to test you, to measure you, to see if you can take your place as a dollar princess among the nobility. The harbor bustles with noise. Porters shout, sailors unload cargo, carriages roll across cobblestones slick with mist. The air carries a scent of coal smoke, damp stone, and the faint perfume of horses. As you step onto British soil, you feel the shift. The air is cooler. The voices around you hold a different rhythm. This is not New York, with its brash energy and rising skyscrapers. This is a city older, slower, steeped in centuries of tradition. Your carriage takes you through winding streets, past brick houses, iron railings, and shop windows glowing with gaslight. The horses' hooves strike a steady rhythm, clip, clop, clip, clop, while the fog curls softly through the lamps. Soon the grander avenues appear. White stone buildings rise on either side. Gentlemen in tall hats stride along the pavement. Ladies in long dresses step into shops and tea rooms, and there, beyond the bustle, lie the squares of Mayfair, the heart of fashionable London. It is here, amid the mansions and private gardens, that the London season unfolds. The season was not merely a time of parties, it was a ritual. Every spring and summer, the nobility and wealthy gathered in London for a whirl of balls, dinners, concerts, and races. It was the stage upon which marriages were made, alliances secured, reputations built or broken. And now you are stepping into it. Your mother's letters had prepared you, but nothing compares to the reality. Each night, another invitation. Each morning, another fitting. The city hums with expectation, its carriages rolling toward glittering houses where chandeliers blaze and orchestras wait to play. For you, the season is more than social. It is a test. The nobility watch closely. They wish to see whether this American heiress, with her bold accent and dazzling fortune, can carry herself as one of them. Imagine yourself on the evening of your first grand ball. Your gown is of pale silk, sent from Paris, embroidered with tiny silver threads that catch the light. Around your neck glitters a necklace of diamonds, a gift from your father before you left America. The carriage waits outside your townhouse. The footman opens the door, and you step inside, the fabric of your gown sweeping across the seat. The lamps outside glow faintly through the fog. As the carriage moves, you hear the steady rhythm of the horses, the creak of wheels against cobblestones, the distant laughter of other carriages rolling toward their destinations. Through the window, you catch glimpses. Ladies in gowns hurrying into doorways, gentlemen adjusting their gloves, footmen carrying trunks and parcels. The city feels alive, pulsing with anticipation. And you, within your carriage, are at the center of it. The ball itself is like stepping into another world. Chandeliers hang high above, their crystals shimmering in golden light. Mirrors line the walls, multiplying the glow until the room seems endless. Musicians play a waltz, the notes floating gently through the air. Couples glide across the floor, gowns swirling like petals, shoes tapping softly against polished wood. Laughter mingles with music, voices rise and fall in conversation, fans flutter open and closed in delicate gestures. You step inside, and all eyes turn to you. Some see your beauty, some see your fortune, some see a stranger, new and untested, but for all of them, you are the dollar princess. A duke's son may bow to you, asking for a dance. An earl's daughter may whisper, curious about your accent. An older lady may glance at you, her expression a mix of curiosity and judgment. Every smile you give, every word you speak, builds the impression they will carry of you. The rules of this world are endless and unspoken. You must know when to curtsy and how deeply. You must know which fork to use, when to speak, when to laugh. You must never appear too eager nor too cold. Your upbringing in America has prepared you in part, but still, each gesture feels heavy with meaning. You hold your fan just so. You nod at the right names, bow at the right titles, and through it all, you smile, calm and radiant, though inside your heart races with the pressure of it all. Between dances, you find yourself wandering the edges of the ballroom. Gentlemen approach, some with genuine interest, others with calculation in their eyes. Ladies introduce themselves, their compliments wrapped in questions, their curiosity about you thinly veiled. Tell me, do you find London very different from New York? Is it true your family's house has 30 rooms? Will your father be joining you for the season? Each question is simple on the surface, but beneath it lies something more. They wish to know if you belong. They wish to measure your wealth, your manners, your potential as part of their world. And so you answer softly, graciously, each word chosen with care. Not all of the season is spent in ballrooms. In the afternoons, the carriages roll into Hyde Park, where the wealthy gather to see and be seen. You ride in an open carriage, the horses trotting gracefully along the wide paths. Around you, ladies nod in greeting, gentlemen tip their hats, children laugh as they skip beside their nannies. The park blooms with roses, the trees heavy with summer leaves, the air filled with the scent of grass and blossoms. It is a performance, this parade. Your gown, your jewels, your very presence in the carriage, all speak silently of who you are. For those who watch, you are not just a young woman. You are a symbol of wealth, of transatlantic ambition, of the blending of two worlds. And yet, beneath the beauty, you feel the weight of judgment. Some smile warmly, welcoming you. Others whisper, skeptical, "She is American." They say, "So much money, but no history." Their words sting, though you do not let it show. You remind yourself that this was always the price. Your fortune buys you entry, but only your grace, your patience, and your strength will win their acceptance. At night, when the balls are over, when the laughter has faded and the lamps are dimmed, you return to your room. The house is quiet. The city outside hums faintly, its gaslights glowing in the fog. You sit at your dressing table, the jewels removed, the gown laid aside. Your maid brushes your hair slowly, gently, until it shines in the lamplight. And in those moments you allow yourself to breathe. You think of home, the wide streets of New York, the noise of the harbor, the restless energy of America. You think of the future, the castle you may one day call home, the title you may one day carry. And you think of yourself, still young, still uncertain, still balancing between two worlds. London in 1895 is dazzling. It is a city of gaslight and horse-drawn carriages, of fog and finery, of endless social rituals. For you, it is both a stage and a test. Each day of the season brings another ball, another dinner, another chance to prove yourself. And though the path is uncertain, you walk it with grace, step by step, curtsy by curtsy, dance by dance. You are no longer just an American heiress. You are part of London society, and soon you may be part of something even greater. As you drift into rest, imagine the glow of chandeliers, the rustle of silk gowns, the music of violins floating through a ballroom. Let the rhythm of the waltz carry you gently into dreams, dreams of a life unfolding beneath the soft gaslight of London nights. Good night, for now. The season has dazzled you with its lights, its music, its endless gatherings. But society in London is only half of your new existence. The other half lies beyond the city, in the countryside, within the stone walls and sweeping grounds of an English manor. It is here that much of your new life will unfold. It is here that the rituals of the nobility are not just performed for show, but lived day after day. And tonight, we will walk together through a single day, the day of a dollar princess in 1895. The day begins before the sun. Somewhere in the house, the maids are already awake. They move silently through the corridors, carrying buckets of coal to light fires in the grates, laying kindling so that when you rise, the chill of the English morning will not reach you. The manor itself breathes quietly in the half-light. The scent of wood smoke lingers faintly. A bird calls from the trees beyond the windows, and in your chamber, the curtains stir gently with the draft of the dawn. You do not wake just yet. Your maid enters softly, careful not to disturb you, and begins to lay out your garments for the day. First, the morning dress, simple, light, elegant. Later, the gown for luncheon. Later still, the attire for dinner. Each moment has its costume, and each costume has its meaning. When you finally open your eyes, the fire is already glowing. The world is warm and waiting. The maid brings warm water in a porcelain basin, setting it upon the stand beside you. You wash your face, letting the coolness refresh you before sitting at the dressing table. Here begins the long ritual of preparation. Your hair is brushed carefully until it shines in the morning light. The gown is fitted, the ribbons tied, the delicate collar arranged just so. Around you, the room glows softly, floral wallpaper, a gilded mirror, the faint ticking of a clock upon the mantel. As you prepare, the house itself awakens. From below comes the clatter of servants in the kitchen, the scent of bread rising in the ovens. Outside, the stable hands lead horses from their stalls, the sound of hooves echoing on cobblestone yards. The manor is not just a home, it is a living world, one that stirs into motion with each dawn. You descend the grand staircase slowly, your hand gliding along the polished banister. Sunlight filters through stained glass windows, casting soft colors upon the floor. In the morning room, breakfast awaits. The table is long but not fully set. Only the family gathers here without the formality of guests. Silver gleams upon white linen. A teapot steams gently. Plates of toast, eggs, and fruit are arranged with delicate care. The conversation is quiet, polite. Your host, perhaps a titled gentleman, discusses the weather, the crops, or the news in the Times. His wife inquires after your rest, her tone gracious but observant. And you, still new to this rhythm, smile gently, offering answers that reveal little but charm much. After breakfast, you are invited to walk through the gardens. The English countryside stretches wide around the manor, rolling fields, stone walls draped with ivy, gardens carefully kept in bloom. You stroll along gravel paths, the hem of your dress brushing against lavender and roses. Bees hum lazily in the summer air. Beside you, your companions speak of horses, of neighbors, of the upcoming hunt. But as you walk, you feel the deep weight of history. Every stone wall has stood for centuries. Every oak tree has seen generations pass beneath its branches. You, new and foreign, are becoming part of this long story. The gardens are beautiful, but they are also symbols. They remind you that this land, this house, this life, you must learn to carry it as gracefully as you once carried your family name across the Atlantic. By midday, the household is fully alive. Perhaps there is riding, horses saddled and ready, hooves striking against the earth as you ride across green fields, the wind brushing your cheeks. The English gentry take pride in their horsemanship, and so you must ride with confidence, posture straight, reins firm yet gentle. Or perhaps there is a visit to a neighboring estate. The carriage is drawn, and you ride along country lanes, past cottages with thatched roofs, past farm hands at work in the fields. The visit itself is formal yet warm, tea served in porcelain cups, polite talk of harvests, of marriages, of politics spoken in low tones. Each encounter matters. Each word you say adds to the picture they form of you. At 1 o'clock, the bell rings for luncheon. This meal is lighter than dinner, but no less precise. Cold meats, delicate sandwiches, salads of cucumber and watercress are served. Silverware gleams, glasses are filled, and conversation flows gently around the table. You notice how every gesture has meaning. Napkins folded perfectly, knives and forks placed at exact angles, servants stepping forward silently, refilling cups without a sound. To an outsider, it may seem elaborate, but to the household, this is simply life. And for you, it is now life as well. After luncheon comes the long, quiet afternoon. The ladies retire to the drawing room, where embroidery waits upon frames, where novels lie upon side tables, where the air is scented faintly with tea roses. Conversation drifts between you, soft and measured. Sometimes you join in, sometimes you listen, your gaze wandering to the sunlight playing across the curtains. Other afternoons bring music. Someone sits at the piano, fingers gliding across ivory keys, filling the room with the gentle flow of Chopin or Schubert. You may be asked to play as well or to sing, a chance to show refinement, grace, and art. And if the weather is fair, there may be lawn games, croquet upon the grass, archery near the orchard, gentle laughter rising like birdsong in the summer air. It is a rhythm of leisure, yet beneath it lies expectation. You are always observed, always weighed. Even in laughter there is measure. As the clock strikes 4, the ritual of afternoon tea begins. The servants lay out delicate china, small cakes, scones with clotted cream and strawberry jam. A silver teapot steams, filling the room with the fragrance of strong, dark tea. You take your cup, hold it gracefully, and join the conversation once more. The talk is light, but every word is laced with subtle meaning. Who was seen at which ball? Which family is rumored to be struggling with debts? Which heir may be seeking a wealthy bride? Afternoon, tea is more than refreshment. It is the heartbeat of society. As twilight begins to fall, the manor shifts again. Servants prepare the great dining hall, setting the table with glittering crystal and silver. Fires are stoked, lamps lit, curtains drawn. In your chamber, your evening gown is laid out upon the bed, heavier, more elaborate than the morning's attire, its fabric rich with color, its jewels designed to sparkle in candlelight. Your maid assists you, fastening the gown, arranging your hair, placing jewels carefully at your ears and throat. The reflection in the mirror seems almost unfamiliar. You are no longer simply yourself. You are a figure of wealth, of beauty, of quiet power. Dinner is the most formal meal of the day. The family assembles at the long table, and often there are guests, neighbors, visiting aristocrats, perhaps a gentleman whose glance lingers a little longer upon you than the rest. Courses arrive one by one, soups, roasts, delicate puddings, carried by servants who move silently as though invisible. The talk is measured, polite, yet filled with careful undertones. Politics, literature, the affairs of the empire are all touched upon, though never too deeply. You sit tall, you smile gently, you answer when addressed. Every gesture, lifting a glass, unfolding a napkin, inclining your head, becomes part of a performance, one that determines whether you will be accepted into this ancient world. After the final course, the ladies rise and withdraw to the drawing room, leaving the gentlemen to their port and cigars. Here, in softer light, conversation turns again to music, to fashion, to the latest whispers from London. The air feels lighter, though still precise, still watched. You may laugh quietly, you may tell a story of America, and your companions listen with curiosity, their fans fluttering, their eyes bright with questions. Later, the gentlemen rejoin you, the room filling again with talk and movement. A game of cards may be played, a song may be sung, a fire may crackle warmly in the hearth as the evening drifts toward its close. At last the house grows still. Servants extinguish lamps, draw curtains, bank fires for the night. Footsteps fade along the halls. You return to your chamber, where your maid undresses you carefully, folds away the gown, brushes your hair until it shines. You slip into a nightdress, the linen cool against your skin, and step into bed. The sheets are smooth, the pillows soft, the quilt warm against the evening air. Through the window you hear the faint call of an owl, the rustle of leaves in the night breeze. The manor sleeps, but it breathes with life all around you. Horses shifting in the stables, guards watching at the gate, maids finishing their last tasks before bed, and you, lying still beneath the canopy of your bed, let the day drift away. This was just one day in the life of a dollar princess, a day of ritual and rhythm, of beauty and expectation, of quiet moments hidden within grand ones. Tomorrow will bring another, and the day after, another still. But for now, let the manor rest in silence. Let the gardens sleep beneath the moonlight. Let your thoughts drift slowly, gently, into dreams of halls lit by candlelight and gardens filled with roses. Sleep now, for tomorrow the story continues. The days in the manor have their rhythm, the mornings of riding, the afternoons of tea, the evenings of dinners beneath candlelight. But within this quiet elegance, another story begins to unfold. It is the story of marriage, the story of alliances, of duties, of titles exchanged for fortunes, of fortunes exchanged for names. And as you walk through these halls, as you live these rituals, you begin to realize this story is not only about society. It is also about you, for you are a dollar princess, and in 1895, a dollar princess does not remain unmarried for long. It begins subtly, almost invisibly. At tea, you notice a glance shared between two older ladies. At dinner, you feel the weight of conversation turn toward you, gently but deliberately. A mention of an eligible duke, a marquess, a viscount, names woven into sentences with careful casualness. And in the drawing room, after the gentlemen have joined you, someone remarks upon the presence of Lord So-and so, and how fine a match he would be if only the right young lady were found. The words are soft, but the meaning is clear. Your fortune has drawn their attention. Your name is already being spoken as though paired with another's. You smile politely, sip your tea, and say nothing, but deep within you understand. The season of dances and laughter has begun to give way to a season of expectation. They arrive, one by one. each carrying not only his name, but the weight of generations. A duke, whose family has held vast estates since the Tudor age, but whose lands are mortgaged and whose halls grow cold in winter. A viscount, charming and witty, but known for his debts at the club and his restless nights in London. A marquess, older, steady, respected, his title great, his fortune gone. Each comes to dinner, to tea, to a hunt across the countryside. Each bows politely, speaks with grace, and lingers near you longer than courtesy alone would demand, and you, beneath the sparkle of the chandelier, feel the invisible thread that binds you to them, for they seek what you have: wealth, freshness, energy, the promise of a new dawn. And you, perhaps, seek what they hold: titles, lands, the history of names spoken in whispers for centuries. It is a dance older than yourself, a dance older than America. It is the ancient rhythm of alliance. Not all is said in the open. In the library, by the firelight, your host and his wife speak in hushed tones. They discuss dowries, inheritances, reputations. They weigh your fortune against the debts of this lord, the prospects of that one. Their voices are low, but the decisions they make will shape the path before you. Your parents, across the ocean, may also write letters filled with advice. They may remind you that this is what you were sent for, that your role is not only to marry, but to unite, to secure a future where your name is woven into the very fabric of England's nobility. Behind closed doors, your fate is arranged. Not cruelly, not coldly, but carefully, deliberately, as though your life were one more piece upon the great chessboard of society. And then it happens. One evening after dinner, you walk through the gardens. The air is cool, scented with roses and damp earth. Lanterns glow softly along the paths. He walks beside you, the suitor whose gaze has lingered most often, whose words have been the gentlest. His voice is quiet, measured, touched with sincerity. And then, he asks, perhaps not with poetry, perhaps not with fire, but with dignity, with steadiness, he asks you to be his wife, to become not only yourself, but his lady, his duchess, his marchioness, to take upon your shoulders the duties of his house, the heritage of his ancestors, the weight of his name. The world seems still as you listen. The rustle of leaves, the distant song of a nightingale, the faint glow of lanterns against the evening mist, all of it feels suspended in time. And then, softly, you answer. Months later, the bells of a great church ring out. Carriages line the streets. Guests fill the pews, their silks and jewels glittering in the light of stained glass. The air is heavy with the fragrance of lilies, with the solemn joy of ceremony. You walk slowly down the aisle, your gown sweeping behind you, a veil like mist before your face. At the altar, he waits, steady and proud, his gaze fixed upon you. The words are spoken, ancient words carried through centuries, vows of honor, vows of duty, vows of love. The ring is placed upon your finger, the kiss is given, and in that moment you are no longer only a daughter of America. You are a lady of England, a dollar princess no more, but a duchess, a countess, a wife. Marriage does not end your story, it begins it anew, for now the duties grow heavier. You are no longer only a guest in these halls, you are their mistress. The household looks to you for guidance, the servants bow to you, awaiting instruction. The tenants upon the estate know your name and whisper of your generosity, your presence, your care. Society watches you too. Every gown you wear, every word you speak, every gesture you make is noted, measured, discussed in drawing rooms and over tea. And beside you, your husband plays his role, attending Parliament, managing estates, hosting hunts and dinners. You are partners, bound not only by affection but by duty, by the great weight of expectation. Yet within all this, there are quiet truths. Perhaps you miss the freedom of America, the wide streets, the laughter that was less restrained, the mornings unmarked by ritual. Perhaps you wonder whether you chose this life or whether it was chosen for you. And yet, as you walk through the gardens of your new home, as you sit beside your husband in the glow of the fire, you feel a strange balance. For though you gave your fortune, you gained a name. And though you lost a little freedom, you gained a place in history. Your children will inherit titles, lands, and stories that will outlast even the glitter of dollars. This is the price of a title, but it is also the gift of a destiny. The wedding feast has long ended. The guests have gone, the halls are quiet. You sit in your new chamber, the jewels removed, the gown set aside, the veil folded away. The mirror reflects a face both familiar and new, your own, yet changed. Fire burns low. Outside, the moon hangs over the countryside, silvering the fields, softening the world. And as you lay down to rest, your hand rests gently upon the ring upon your finger. A ring that binds you not only to a man, but to a life, to a duty, to a story older than your own. Sleep comes slowly, softly, carrying you into dreams of bells and candles, of gardens and vows, of futures yet unwritten. For tomorrow, your role as wife, as duchess, as lady, will truly begin. Marriage is not simply love, not simply union. In 1895, for $1 princess, marriage is destiny. It is duty. It is alliance. It is the weaving of two worlds into one. And tonight, as the stars shine over the English countryside, that destiny rests gently upon your shoulders. The house is still, the candles are extinguished. The great halls, which only hours ago rang with conversation and laughter, now lie in silence. The carriages have departed. The footmen are dismissed. The echoes of music linger faintly, but only in memory. And here, within these quiet chambers, you find yourself alone with your thoughts. By day, the duties are endless. Guests to greet, dinners to oversee, letters to write, appearances to maintain. There are smiles to wear, gestures to perfect, words to measure carefully, but in the night, none of that is required. In the night, when even the clocks tick gently as though mindful of sleep, you are free to wander inward. You sit by the window. The countryside stretches out before you, silvered in moonlight, vast and quiet. The scent of roses drifts upward from the gardens, and you allow your heart to breathe. Sometimes your thoughts drift across the ocean. To wide American streets lined with carriages and lamplight, to bustling shops where the voices are louder, freer, to mornings when the sun seemed brighter, when laughter came without thought of etiquette. You recall the warmth of your mother's embrace, the firmness of your father's voice, the familiarity of siblings or friends. You see in memory the halls of your American home, filled not with history but with vitality, with the sense of newness, of beginnings. And for a moment you feel the tug of longing, a gentle ache for what was, a quiet yearning for the world you left behind. Then your gaze falls upon the ring upon your finger. The jewel catches the moonlight, glinting softly. And you remember what it means. A title is not just a word. It is responsibility. It is history placed upon your shoulders. Every glance from a servant, every whisper among tenants, every expectation from society, they all rest upon the foundation of your new name. You wonder quietly whether you will ever truly belong to it, whether you will ever feel it as part of yourself, or whether it will always remain a cloak you wear for the world. And yet, there is another voice within you. A voice that whispers, you have done something rare. You have stepped across an ocean, across two worlds. You have become a bridge between the new and the old, the fresh and the ancient. Perhaps you are not only a dollar princess. Perhaps you are also a story, a living tale of transformation. For though you married for duty, perhaps love will grow. Though you were chosen for wealth, perhaps respect will flourish. Though you carry expectations, perhaps you will shape them into something gentler, something kinder, something uniquely your own. As you rest your head upon the pillow, sleep begins to blur the edges of thought. In dreams, you see yourself walking once more through the streets of America, your gown sweeping behind you. But the buildings grow taller, older, until they become the townhouses of London. You see yourself boarding a great ship, but when it sails, the sea beneath it glitters not with water, but with starlight. The vessel carries you not across an ocean, but across time, across worlds. And on the shore, both your parents and your husband wait for you, smiling, united. The two halves of your life, no longer divided, but whole. You begin to understand that your life will always carry this duality. One part American, one part English, one part freedom, one part duty. One part self, one part society, but perhaps this duality is not a burden, perhaps it is a gift, for you can bring to this old world the freshness of the new, you can soften the stiffness of tradition with laughter, with warmth, with sincerity. You can show that wealth is not only coin, but generosity, kindness, and vision, and in return, this world of titles can give you a sense of permanence, of history, of belonging to something greater than yourself. The thoughts grow softer, the room grows darker, the fire fades to embers, the moonlight upon the floor seems to shimmer gently, as though it too were preparing to rest. The rustle of the curtains becomes a lullaby. The night enfolds you, quiet and endless. Your last thought, before sleep takes you, is a simple one, a thought that brings peace. I am both worlds, I am both stories, I am both self and duty, and I am enough. With that, your breathing deepens, the weight of the day slips away, and you drift into dreams, calm and still, embraced by the night. This is the hidden side of a dollar princess's life. Not the gowns, not the jewels, not the titles, but the quiet thoughts, the gentle reflections, the tender dreams that rise when the world is still. And as you sleep, those dreams carry you softly, tenderly, into a night without end. The story is nearly complete. The tale of wealth and duty, of oceans crossed and castles entered, of silks and titles and whispered dreams. You have walked through the glittering ballrooms of New York, through the ancient halls of England, through the gardens and the quiet chambers of reflection. And now it is time to let the story fade, to let its colors soften, its music slow, its lights dim, so that you, too, may drift into peaceful rest. You began as a daughter of the Gilded Age, born into marble houses and crystal chandeliers, raised with tutors and etiquette, dressed for grand society balls. Your family dreamed of more, not just wealth, but recognition, respect, permanence. And so, you crossed the Atlantic, carrying with you more than trunks of gowns and jewels. You carried the hopes of your family, you carried the weight of their ambition, you carried the promise of a new world meeting the old. In England, you stepped into halls older than your country itself. You walked gardens planted centuries before your birth. You dined beneath portraits of ancestors whose names were carved into history, and in time, you became part of that story. Not all victories are loud. Not all triumphs are sung in ballads or written in books. Some victories are soft, invisible, known only to the heart. Yours were the victories of belonging, the quiet smile from a husband learning to respect you, the nod of approval from a dowager who once doubted you, the laughter of servants who came to see you not as a stranger, but as their lady. Each step you took was not only for yourself, but for those who would follow, for the other young women who would cross oceans, for the generations who would carry both American energy and European tradition in their veins. But perhaps the greatest journey was not across the Atlantic at all. Perhaps the greatest journey was inward, from uncertainty to confidence, from doubt to acceptance, From being a symbol of wealth to being a person of worth. You discovered that identity is not given only by titles or fortunes. It is shaped by choices, by kindness, by the way one lives when no one is watching, and in the stillness of nights by the fire, in the quiet walks through rose gardens, in the gentle act of writing letters back home, you found yourself. As we step back, we remember that the story of the Dollar Princess is not only about you. It was lived by many young women at the turn of the century. Some found happiness, some found loneliness, some built families that blended continents. Others remained forever strangers in their new homes, but all of them left behind a trace, a thread in history's tapestry. They were not only symbols of wealth and power, they were bridges between countries, between classes, between worlds. And in telling their story, we honor the courage it took to live lives that were never entirely their own. And now, dear listener, as this tale draws to a close, allow yourself to drift. Imagine once more the great house where you rest. The heavy drapes pulled across the windows, the embers glowing faintly in the hearth, the scent of roses carried in on the night air. The halls are silent, the world is hushed, and you are safe, here in the heart of your story. The candle has burned low, the last page has been turned, the voice of history has softened into silence, and you may let go. May your sleep be as soft as the silks you once wore. May your dreams be as bright as the chandeliers of the Gilded Age. May your rest be as deep as the stillness of English gardens beneath the moon. And when you awaken, may you carry with you the calm, the gentleness, and the quiet strength of those who walked before you. For history is not only written in books, it is carried in us, in our stories, in our dreams, in the way we find peace at the close of the day. So rest now, breathe deeply, sleep peacefully, the story is complete. The dream is yours. Good night, dear Dollar Princess, good night.